Good evening everybody and welcome to the video. In this video, I'm gonna teach you how to ingest events from an event bus in near real time into your transactional data lake using Kinesis data stream and Glue streaming job. So I'm gonna show you an entire process. So I'm gonna basically walk you over all the steps. Please feel free to pause the video and try these labs out with me. For this one, I'm gonna leverage the more table, okay? So let's get started. So again, so what we need to do is first we need to come to the EventBridge and we need to create an event bus where microservices will be publishing events. So I'm gonna click here and then I'm gonna type the name as order over here, okay? Then come on the bottom section and click on create. And here you can see my event bus is now created. Now we need to create a Kinesis stream. So I'm gonna click on Kinesis stream and I'll put the name as order stream. I'll use provisioned, one shard is enough for the demo. And then I'll click on create Kinesis, right? Now my Kinesis stream, data stream has been created, right? Now what I need to do is basically anytime somebody publishes an event to the event bus, I wanna forward that event to Kinesis. So let's basically write a rule for that, okay? So back over here, I'm gonna click on rule and I'm gonna select my bus and then I'm gonna click on create rule. And then here I'll say forward to Kinesis, right? Because we are gonna forward the data to the Kinesis, right? And then I'm gonna click on next. I'm gonna click on all events, click, scroll down, click next. And then here, I'm gonna select the target as Kinesis, right? Pretty straightforward. And then I'm gonna select my Kinesis stream that we just created. Click on next, looks great, click on create rule. That's it, all set guys. At this point, what we did is anytime any microservice will publish that event to the event bus, we are gonna forward that event to a Kinesis data stream. Now, since we have everything set up, let's publish certain sample events on our event bus and see if we get the data on the Kinesis data stream. So back to my screen. So you will be given a Python file called publish.py and basically we're gonna run this Python file. And what we will see is certain events will be published basically to event bus. So I did publish certain sample events and I'm gonna go to the Kinesis data stream. I'm gonna go to the data viewer. I'm gonna select the shard and I'm gonna click on trim horizon and get records. And here you can see I am able to see my data. This is how the data looks like. All my data is inside the entity called detail, and these are some of the housekeeping field. For example, the event ID, the source, the account, etc., etc. So that makes sense, right? So now the microservices are broadcasting event to the event bus, and now you're streaming that event into a Kinesis. Now what's left? We need to write a Glue streaming job that's gonna process these events. So let me show you that part. Back to my screen over here. So again, over here, I'll try my best to explain you. So over here, these are all the imports. I don't need to explain imports, right? Simple imports, right? Then over here, I'm creating a Spark session. Again, nothing I need to explain over here as well. All I'm doing is creating a Spark session. These are the settings that I'm gonna show you shortly. So here is the database name. Here is the table name. So we have to create this table, right? Again, the data is there in the Kinesis, but we need to create a Glue table so we can read from that, okay? So now let me show you that part. So I'm just gonna switch my screen at this point. We will go to Glue and then database. Again, here you can see I already have one, so I'm gonna delete these and show you the process here. So I can click on add database and I'll say Hudi DB. Okay, so the database has been created. Now I'm gonna add a table. So now over here, this is the table name that we have specified in the Glue job, so which is called Kinesis order events. So I'm gonna come here, put that name here, database, I'm gonna select Hudi DB. The source would be Kinesis, right? And then here I am doing this lab in AP South, I guess 1, is that 1? Yeah, AP South 1. Then I select my stream, the type is JSON, click next, and create. So here you can see that table has been created. So now in that code, we are gonna read the data from the catalog, right? So basically sharing my screen again. So that's the table, right? This is the table that I want to create, right? My unique identifier would be details underscore order ID, right? So what my job will do is basically, if you observe, this is the JSON, right? Can you see this, right? So it's gonna flatten it out, right? So this is a complex attribute, right? I have a function that will flatten it out. So this will become something like this, right? Detail underscore and whatever key is inside that, right? So my unique identifier is gonna be the order ID, right? So coming back down, hopefully this made sense. So that's why I have detail underscore order ID. Precom key is gonna be a timestamp, so I'm using detail underscore TS. This is my bucket, okay? I'm using merge on read and I'm gonna perform an upsert. I'm gonna read the data at an interval of 10 seconds and I'm doing trim horizon, which means start from the beginning. These are the settings that I'm using for Hudi, right? Pretty straightforward. I don't think I need to explain there. Now here is the code part. So first we call glue context for each batch. So for each batch, we're gonna get the data. So look here, I'm reading the data from that glue table, which is over here, Kinesis order event, right? So we're gonna read the data as a glue data frame. Then we call the function process batch. This is where the processing happens. So first I check if the count is greater than 0, then and only then come inside. I convert the glue data frame back to a Spark data frame. Over here, I flatten out the data frame. Again, remember we have a nested object, right? A struct object. So this is how it looks like, right? So if you do a print schema, you will clearly see it's a struct, right? So this function that I wrote basically will flatten out that data. Again, we don't have to worry about that. So I flatten out my Spark data frame. Then essentially I'm renaming certain column. And over here, observe carefully, I am gonna perform an upsert on my data lake, right? So that's basically the code. Copy the code. Now, basically we're gonna start the job, okay, soon. So coming to glue, come to the job section. I'm gonna close everything and I'll show you my S3. So it's nothing is there in the S3, okay? So over here, again, now paste the code inside here. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leverage Glue 4. I don't wanna use the older version, I mean, because the newer version supports Hudi out of the box, right? So again, the settings are Hudi streamer, again, my IAM role, Hudi, the type is Spark streaming, Glue 4.0, G1X. I'm using 3 workers right now. And one thing that you gotta remember when you use Glue 4, conf, here is the conf that I'm providing, and the data lake format as Hudi. So I'm gonna save that job. Okay. Now, before I run, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna publish a lot of events on an event bus that we just made, and automatically, so again, just recapping. So we're gonna publish a lot of events to the event bus. The rule will forward those events to a Kinesis. The Glue streaming job will read the data from the catalog, convert the dynamic frame into a Spark data frame, flatten out, perform certain action, and then perform upsert on our Apache Hudi data lake, right? So that's what we are doing, okay? So I'm gonna start this Python file that is publish.py. It's gonna publish a lot of events very rapidly. So here you can see the events are basically being published, and now I'm gonna start my Glue streaming job. Again, it's a streaming job, so it's gonna run, 24/7, right? So I'll wait for a while now, and I think I wanna remove this sleep statement, and I wanna do it even more faster. So I'm gonna just publish so many events. Here you can see I'm publishing so many events right now on the event bus, right? So hopefully, if I can show you quickly, if I can go to the EventBridge, and if I just go to the rules section, I think there is a tab where I can monitor stuff. So here I would see the matrix shortly. So I'll click on 1 hour, and here you can see I'm publishing events right over here. Again, this matrix will update shortly. Again, it's 1 hour, so I might have to filter that out. Okay, but now if I go to my Glue job, it is still in the running state. If I go to S3, refresh, here you can see I have the Spark checkpoints. Now pretty soon I should be seeing my more table, right? So again, we're gonna publish even more events now. The events are being published at a very rapid rate. So I'm gonna refresh. Here you can see I see my order table, and I see the metadata, and soon I would see the base file or the Parquet files as well, okay? So the job is still running. Then I'll also share a couple of tips and settings that I would recommend you guys to use in production, right? So 1 hour. I do see, yeah, now I see the matrix being updated. It takes a while, it's fine, you know, as I said, right? So now basically if I refresh, if I go to this table, there you go, right? Parquet files, right? So that's great, right? Now if I go to my glue catalog quickly, right? So if I come here in the table section, there you go, RO and RT tables. So that's great, fantastic. At this point, RO stands for read optimized, RT stands for real time. So if you want to query your real-time data, you can query RT table. If you want to maybe run queries a little in a performant way, you can query the RO, that is read optimized view. That's it for this video, and hopefully you got the idea, right? We essentially build everything, right? Let me stop everything before I get charged. So remember, if you are doing this exercise, please make sure to stop the job, otherwise you're gonna get charged, okay? So make sure to stop the job, and also after you're done, make sure to delete the Kinesis as well. So I'm gonna quickly do that, and then I'll share certain settings that I would recommend to you guys. So delete, there we go, we delete that. All right, so a couple of tips here, okay, for production. So if you're gonna run this in production, please have your Kinesis retention period at least for 7 days or 15 days. That way, something goes wrong in your pipeline, you can reprocess that. That's point number 1. Point number 2, if you wanna save money, basically go for G 0.25x. And then also, if you wanna still save more money, I would say use flex execution. That way you save more on that as well. Now, you can use more, right? More are a great way for real-time ingestion. Again, you can also use copy and write. Again, there's no problem with that as well. I suggest basically to run async compaction. So basically, older commits and older files, you want to prune it. Partition your data into a year, month, and a day. So that way, if you want to go into hour level as well, you can do that surely, but partition your data as well. Again, these are certain tips that I would encourage you guys to use while you're doing things in production, right? Then set up alerts, which means anytime the glue job fail, you will get an SNS. So basically you'll get an email alert. I have a video and an architecture for that as well. You could easily implement that. Set the maximum retry to 3. Okay, so that way anything fails, automatically the glue job will retry. These are all the suggestions that I have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. All the code and resources would be there on my GitHub. So feel free to play, tweak, and just learn stuff. And if you have any more questions, list your question in the comments. And if you like the video, please do share the video with your co-workers and colleagues. With that being said, keep smiling, keep programming. See you guys next time.